able to take care of babu able. You not able to bust the rata babu able. Oh soldier, monkey calm down. Oh monkey calm down. Monkey calm down. Oh monkey calm down. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey. Oh soldier, monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Once upon the time, in the jungle, there lived so many animals and so many trees. During the day, there were no restriction. Anytime, any day, anyone used to corrupt and go outside free in the jungle, yeah. After they realized that everything was good, I said everyone were only after the food. Majority of the people went beyond baboon, and few people went beyond okay. The headers of the time made a big mistake. After election, they went and made a selection. So the citizen of the jungle was unsatisfied, so they decided to send another caretaker. Who loves, who care, who has the ability taking care of the monkey. You not able to take care of babu able. You not able to bust the rata babu able. Oh soldier, monkey calm down. Oh monkey calm down. Monkey calm down. Oh monkey calm down. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey. Oh soldier, monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey chop. Monkey cannot get tired.
Say monkey chop yo.
Monkey cannot get tired.
Monkey chop.
Monkey cannot get tired. Monkey chop yo. Monkey cannot get tired.
Keeping banana and the chop. Stealing is a error. Russian is a error.
Monkey cannot get tired.
Yes, Bishop, I'll bring you on shortly. I'll bring you on shortly. Let me just do something real quick. I'm seeing you.
Okay, you not able to take care of babu able. You not able to bust the rata babu able. Oh soldier, monkey calm down. Oh monkey calm down. Monkey calm down. Oh monkey calm down. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey. Oh soldier, monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you.
Monkey listen, you give it right, it can crack it. Bible storm, monkey listen, you give it stick, it can break it. We do your long time ago that Mr. Monkey was very wicked. The way you see it with your apple, then you know that love is wicked. Monkey see apple, they pick it, banana and plum, they take it. All that cuckoo food in a pocket, it went give it something lick it. Monkey drop it, it drop it, nana, only babu can stop it. Monkey drop it, it drop it, nana, only babu can stop it. It call all African monkeys, all I want for them to rig it. Monkeys jump from tree to tree, hustle hustle. It ready gets it. Monkey jump from tree to tree, hustle hustle. When it ready gets it. Two back when monkey we catch it. That one it will not be easy. How you read, my people? I say it wicked. How you read, my people? I say it
monkey. You not able to take care of babu able. You not able to bust the rata babu able. Oh soldier, monkey calm down. Oh monkey calm down. Soldier, monkey calm down. Oh monkey calm down. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey. Oh soldier, monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Monkey calm down to you. Don't jam a monkey say that away home. Don't small monkey say away home. On top of monkey say away home. o mo kisira ewe ho ewe ho ewe ho ewe ho ewe ho emina ewe ho ewe ho my people ya ewe ho answer me ya ewe ho so mafu kopana ewe ho
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new edition of Voices SINOE in the Diaspora. With Dark Side put the Esoteric coming to you from the DMV area in these United States of America. As usual, we are always elated and euphoric to be here with you to have a conversation with our people around the globe. So today we have a special guest on the show. That's Professor Richard Panton is our special guest, but unfortunately, due to technical glitch, he will not be live with us, but we're going to still get him telephonically. So we'll be placing a call shortly. But before I bring Professor Panton on the show to talk to us, our topic today is Liberian education or education in Liberia, key challenges and solutions to building human capacity, human capital in Liberia. So that's our topic for today. But before I bring on my special guests, I'd like to also make a special announcement. Let me make sure my sound is good here. 1 second. Let me make sure okay, my sound is fantastic. All right, so I have a breaking news before I even bring on the professor today. But before he comes on, I'll be right back. It's breaking news. All right, so the breaking news that Voice SINOE wants to offer to provide to you is that we hired a new reporter from Liberia, young, bright, very serious and dedicated to the journalistic profession in Liberia. He's based in SINOE County. We're going to say when he gets on, he's going to say more about himself, but his name is Sagacious Baulu. He has been a journalist in Liberia for many years. He worked with various television and radio stations in Liberia. Currently, he runs a media network in Liberia, which includes a radio booth in SINOE County. So before I bring the man on, let me put this image out here quickly so you can see the young man I'm talking about. This is the young man that we recruited. He understands the profession. He's very professional. He understands the issues as well. So Sagacious is our new co-host on the platform. So sometimes I might not be here, and he will be here to run the show for us. We've gone through the vetting process. He's a very sharp young man. And I just thought we could bring him on board to add a different flavor to the show. I do my selection based on not necessarily on ideological coherence. Is done on ideological divergence. I do not want people that will agree with me. I want somebody who disagrees with me on issues, and we can have a respectful and scintillating discussion on the issue, and that brings a life into the conversation. And I think Sagacious brings that to the conversation. So without further ado, I'd like to bring the young man on. Let me bring this down. Hey, Sagacious.
Good evening from my end. I don't know what's the time there from my end, but good evening. Let me say good evening to our many listeners. I'm ecstatic today to be on the Voice of SINOE Diaspora. Well, this is my debut day. Like we normally say, it's a call to national duty, but this will say we'll do a high level of professionalism, dedication, and commitment. I'm honored.
All right. That's the young man, Sagacious. Welcome aboard again. This is your own. It's not a different platform for Sando County. So anything Sando County is your home. You know, I just happen to be geographically, we are in different sector of the earth. All right. So welcome aboard, guys. So that's the young man we recruited on the show. And as you just listen to it. But Sagacious, before I bring the guests, would you want to say one or two words about yourself, how long you've been in the profession?
Well, more or less, I'm Sagacious Success Bangle, like you rightly said. I'm currently the managing director of the Slonkleys Communications Network, a network based in SINOE. Um, I'm managing both Radio Slonkly and Radio Buta. Radio Slonkly is based in Greenville, the capital of SINOE, and one of SINOE's administrative districts is Buta. One of the stations is based here in Buta, and that is Radio Buta. I started up as at the Voice of Sana Community Radio Station as a volunteer worker. I served there as a child broadcaster. Later, I moved on as an announcer to news reporter. From news reporter, I was appointed news director. News director, I moved on to director of programs. And in a community radio station around them, when you are the program director, it means you are the assistant manager of the institution. Subsequently, I was appointed station manager of the Voice of Sound Radio until I was asked to manage Radio Buta. And so I'm currently with Radio Buta, Radio Sonkli as the managing director.
Excellent, excellent. That's a rich resume right there. Okay, so but before I bring the professor on, what happened? Joseph Boyka is not giving you power in the country. Why your background is a little dark?
So basically, I had to come to the GVO Buta estate to have some access to electricity. That is one of the things that Sano County lacks, the issue of electricity. If we were to check, even though there are claims and cannot claim that the Liberia Electricity Corporation, EDC, is not like stable, that has been, an argument. That has been, everyday talk when you go to other places that are benefiting from EDC. If you check in the southeastern region, it's sad to see that Sano is the only county that is not benefiting from EDC. If you go to Maryland County, they have EDC supply, though not stable. If you go to Grand Creek County have EDC supply. If you go to River G County, you go to Grand Gila County, they have EDC supply. With the exception of Sano County, but we are grateful to the United States government that have allotted a certain amount for, a hydro to be built at the Sano River. Sano River, the Sano 4 is located in Waya district. Normally they call it the SRC because the Sano Rubber Company operated there before. So normally that place be referred to as SRC, but it's in Waya district. And so the United States government has secured some funds, to build a hydro to provide 24-hour electricity to the people of Sano. And let's say kudos because work have already started at the level of the Sano 4.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Sagacious, that's vital information over there. But let's bring our guest on before he goes to sleep. But again, sorry that I kind of interrupting you a little bit. But let me do a quick shout out to a great man. That's Mr. Kamal, Reverend Jackson Kamal, celebrating his birthday today. And so, Reverend Kamal, want to say happy birthday to you on your new age. He's a great man. He taught me when I was in high school in Ghana. Highly educated man. So, Reverend Kamal, as you celebrate your new birth milestone of Voices Sino, the family, we want to join you to say happy birthday to you. We wish you all the best. All right, let's see. Sagacious, let me call our guest here to see whether he can join us quickly. Let's see. Let me make a quick call here. Let's see that we can bring Professor Panton on here. Yeah, I just spoke with him shortly. He should be able to pick up. Okay. Professor Panton. How are you doing, sir?
Well, thank God we're trying our best.
Okay. We are sorry that we're having a technical glitch, and so we can bring you on live.
Yeah, myself, I feel it's unfortunate. I regretted that, but maybe our next round we'll do it at my office, because where I am, maybe that's the reason why the technology may be poor today. I live all the way on the outskirts of Monrovia.
Okay. So, Sagisha, can you hear him?
Yeah, I'm getting him.
Okay, good. So, Mr. Panton, I just wanted to let you know I have my co-host on the show, Sagacious Baulu. He's joining us from Greenville, Santa County. He's also on the phone, so on the network, on the live coverage, and so the two of us going to be having a conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, but before we get into our topic for the discussion, how is the atmosphere in the country, given that we have a new leadership?
Well, the new leadership is settling down, making a series of appointments here and there, and then there are a lot of things going on. The issue of 10 new appointments and characterized by constitutional arguments and all other stuff. So, but generally, things are relatively well on the ground, except that today there's some issues in the Cape Mount area. But government is on top of things, so not much is going on now.
Well, what are the issues?
There's protests at the beer mining company site between the citizens and the company.
All right. So, what are the demands of the workers?
So not the workers, citizens.
Oh, the citizens. Sorry.
The citizens are talking about issues, but regarding what is within the management development agreement, mineral development agreement.
Okay.
So they want their fair share. And, normally in our part of the world, these things usually come up.
Okay. I don't understand. So, let's get to our topic today. Our topic for discussion that we agree upon was to look at the education system in Liberia. Correct?
Oh yes.
Okay. So let's get into that. First of all, for the benefit of our audience, maybe give us a little background of what you do in Liberia currently.
Well, I am an assistant professor of public administration at the University of Liberia.
Okay.
Teaching graduate.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. It was a glitch in your speech. Go ahead again, please.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. You are breaking up a little bit.
Are you?
Yes, sir, I'm hearing you.
Okay. I say I teach public administration and public policy in the graduate school of the University of Liberia. I am also heading the Banking Institute of Liberia, which is a joint initiative of the Central Bank of Liberia and the Liberia Bankers Association. And I am a consultant in public administration project management, monitoring evaluation, and other areas of my specialty.
Okay, all right. So how long have you been assistant professor at the university?
For the last 10 years now.
Okay, 10 years. All right, so talking about education, Professor, tell us, what do we mean by education?
It's the aspect of providing knowledge to individuals to understand the foundation of reality within the environment in which they live.
Okay, so does that include formal and informal?
Yes.
So distinguish the two so we can know.
Informal is where you don't go to school, but you can be educated by the events unfolding around you from one period to another.
Okay, so Geshe, you have, I don't want to leave you out. You have a question for the professor? Go ahead.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I don't know whether the professor is getting me. Professor, are you getting me?
Professor, are you hearing him?
No, I'm not hearing him. I'm only hearing you.
Oh, okay. So Geshe, I will relay to him. Go ahead.
Oh, that's good. So, like you asked, there are too many people falling out tonight. Would like to know if you can tell us, what is it like when it comes to formal education and that of, informal education, given the fact that we have said we have two forms of education.
What is it like to?
Formal education. What is formal education, and what is informal education?
Okay, so he wants you to further elaborate on what is formal education, what is informal education.
Well, the formal education is the one in which the individual goes into the classroom.
Okay.
To be taught.
Okay.
But the informal is where you acquire knowledge by the happenings around you from day to day.
Okay. All right. So Professor, let's see, based on your 10 years experience in an academia, how do you think our educational or academic sector is doing in the country? Are we serving the people, or just done a name on it?
Well, there are several challenges of the educational system. From the bottom to the top. When I started school, for example, we were taught by people who went to teacher training schools and have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, BA certificates.
Okay.
Those days, the kind of teachers that went into the classroom were people who knows what to teach and how to teach. Unlike today, where you have most of the people go into the classroom that know what to teach but don't know how to teach. Now, at the basic level is where your foundation is supposed to be very solid.
Okay.
When you get to the university, you are not going to be taught much again, besides your major area. But today, my brother, it's a different ball game. High school students go to university, they don't know the verb-subject agreement and what have you. The issue of class size is another question. The universities are overcrowded because the issue of space, and administrators will complain of financial constraints to enlighten to create more spaces and have more professionals. So there are a lot of challenges with the educational system.
So, Professor, let's go back. I mean, you spoke a couple of things. You're talking about class size and you're talking about SVA. The students' inability to know SVA, is that their fault or the fault of the teachers?
Well, there's a problem right there. Before 1990, bulk of the schools in Liberia were having teachers that were trained at the Kakata Rural Teacher Training School, Zozo Rural Teacher Training School, the Webo Rural Teacher Training School, the William V. Stockton College of Teachers, and what have you. After the Civil War, bulk of the schools are not in a category. Majority of the schools are not in a category.
Okay.
You found people who are voluntary in the schools, or who are in the classroom, that are not trained teachers. I find people in the classroom that are not trained teachers. For example, you graduate from high school and you know mathematics. And you can teach you any of these schools around time and then say you teach mathematics. But when you train how to teach mathematics, or you graduated from university and you can speak good English, so you say you're teaching English. So the foundation is not the foundation like yesterday. There's a need to put more emphasis on teacher training. That trained teachers are those that are in the classroom, and not people who have knowledge in content area and teaching students. The difficulty for that.
Okay, so Professor, go back to my question. Who should take the blame for the children not knowing SVA?
Supervision, the Minister of Education is weak in supervision. Very weak in supervision. Because the teacher that goes into the classroom must have a lesson plan. Who checks as to whether this teacher is teaching according to the curriculum and the plan design the content. So, all boiled down to a Minister of Education, effective means of monitoring the teachers and ensuring that those who go into the classroom are the rightful people.
Now, Professor.
Go ahead.
Now, Professor, you spoke about
these things are done appropriately, then it will reduce the difficulty students had in doing the right subjects and doing the right content.
Okay, so investigation, what's the question?
Now, Professor, you spoke about KRTTI and you spoke about the Webo Teacher Training Institute. I know KRTTI is located in Maggie County, and the Webo Teacher Institute is in Rivergy County. Those institutions still exist. Is it that those who go there to attend are not receiving the requisite education as required to come back to our students? Because those institutions still exist.
So Professor, his question is, you talk about, you spoke of the various training institutions in Liberia, like KRTTR and the Webo Training Institution and stuff of that nature. And Gesha is saying those institutions still exist. Why is it that those teachers that go there, they are not getting the quality that you guys got?
If you ask how many the government of Liberia, as far as my knowledge is concerned, has abdicated its responsibility to private teacher training institution called La Poste. And La Poste is inside right there with them.
So that's a major charge, Professor, to say.
Huh?
No, I say it's a major charge to say the government has abdicated of responsibility. That's a serious charge.
Well, the budget will tell you. If you have time, look at the budget of the Republic of the Government of Liberia for the last 12 years. And look at teacher training institutions like KRTTI, RTTI, and compare that period with the period before 1990. And you will know what I'm talking.
Okay.
Okay, Professor, right now, for the most part, you teach at the tertiary level. And you say you are assistant professor for, I think, administration and public policy. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do we need public policies experts or public policy experts in Liberia than, say, for example, IT or economics or engineers? Why do we teach public administration?
Without public administration, we run the state. Even your student, without public administration, you can have the legislature, you can have the judiciary, they have the law. Who engages the law? It's the public administration. So without public administration, what we are talking about there is being holistic in the educational endeavor to ensure that you have all specialties that relate to human existence. So if you talk about ICT, information communication technology, you have people trained in those areas. The world is changing now. It's a global.
So, but Ben and Insider, Professor Ben and Insider, do you think? Go ahead, sorry, I interrupted a little bit. Go ahead.
I said, here you are. You are thousands of miles away. A few minutes ago, I used to see you. But we have some difficulty. But now we are talking.
Okay.
So it tells me that there is a need for people to have skills in information communication technology.
Okay, but Professor, you spoke of the word holistic. And there's somebody who is on the inside. Do you think our the area of academia is holistic?
We don't have what we're talking about people listening that all subject areas that relate to this must be taught in the schools, especially at the tertiary level. You can't have bulk of your people running to business college to do business. And even if you don't have businesses in that one, then you are looking for mechanical engineers, you are looking for pathologists, you are looking for cardiologists, you are looking for this and that. You must have citizen trained across the spectrum of that.
I said, but Professor, what do you think the government is doing to encourage students and going to those areas that you named instead of public administration and political science and all other sectors? What do you think the government is doing?
One of the problems that we have in our country is that we have not emphasis on diversification of human resources. We have not diversified our resource capacity development in our country. There's more emphasis on business areas, quick money, and the other areas of science, they are not being more intentional. Not much emphasis is there. So, for example, if you study agriculture, you end up working in the mine or going back to university for a degree because the curriculum is not tailored to solve the problem.
Okay.
To make you to be a farmer. You are more theoretician than a farmer. So when you graduate from university with a degree in agriculture, out of every 5 agriculture students, maybe 1 will end up working farming or working, the rest of them will end up going back to to teach in the classroom, teach general science, or go back to LU to do accounting or management or find job in the bank. As a result, most people don't want to venture in the science area. You do sociology, you end up at a political science student working somewhere, all our stuff. So we need to diversify our curriculum in terms of manpower development. Every field that has to do with human existence must have specialists be trained to that area. Every year we graduate more business students than the businesses we have as Liberia. We graduate more business students than the businesses that we have. We're not in control of the Liberian economy, but we have all the business people. And the reason there is that the curriculum does not address the needs in the labor market. Most of us have been arguing that we need to revisit the curriculum to make sure that the curriculum suits developments within the labor market. You cannot train a business student who will not be able to open a business in minimum pay, but prefer to work in the bank. So you cannot train somebody, and the person, everybody want to go to university before it's relevant, which is not supposed to be the case. Why don't we introduce high skill education from secondary school to university as a way of reducing poverty, as a way of reducing the stress on the university? So we introduce high skill education from high school.
All right, Professor, let me come in a little bit. Suggestion, you have a question?
Well, I wanted to have asked Professor, as per explanations, like many of our students who are pursuing tertiary education, are following those courses that after graduation, with a full-day job. Is that what you are saying?
So he's asking the students that are pursuing those courses that you're talking about, is it because they want jobs and that's why they are going to those majors?
One of the things that is lacking nowadays is more for career counseling.
Okay.
I see Zaya put there is on the microphone every day talking across America, and I see it and I say, well, my people or my uncle or my cousin or my colleague is doing journalism, so I go to journalism.
Okay.
So we are following and all those things. So we don't have career counselors in the secondary schools or even in the university. So we found out that our colleagues or people that are working in the private web, so I go to LU and I want to do management because if I drive for LU, I will get a job very easily as a manager, as an accountant, or as an economist. But if I go to Science College and study engineering, biology, or chemistry, I'll end up being teacher and I will be poor. Also, some people don't go into areas that they should go to. Most people follow friends who emulate all of folks that are related to them or their communities or what have you. So if you introduce career guidance, the students that go through the various fields and all of that to have an appreciation, the student can make a better choice. Another way is when you guide the student according to their output in the various subjects that they are doing in secondary school. For example, if you're a good guy in English literature, can the school guide you towards literature so that you'll be one of our writers in the society? So educational development plan or even ritual development clarification plan to be able to mold the students in different career areas.
But Professor, it's alarming to say that at the university, You guys do not have career counselors. I mean, how are you guys running the university?
At the time before the university of middle 1980s, you have nowadays there's no career counselor.
Why?
The administration of the university is the one for
But Professor Panton, you're part of the team, though, aren't you?
being a faculty in the university does not mean that you are administrator.
Okay. So, but have you by any chance, because given your credential, you are also a progressive, have you broached some of these things with the administrators?
Liberians obviously don't listen to progressive. We did our work. We created a condition for them to have multi-party contracts, and that's all to it.
Now, Professor,
Used to be in the university when I had come. But this day is not there.
Wow. Okay, so let's go ahead. The young man has a question for you. Go ahead.
Now, Professor, I was also considering the fact, for example, in Liberia, this man is teaching physics, for instance, but this man has not acquired, education in teachers' education. But this man has knowledge, about physics. But the man goes to the classroom. Many of the people we see nowadays, they were not schooled on education. Your very department you have teacher education. But many of the professors we see today did not graduate from the teacher school. They probably may have physics or chemistry. Do you think it's one of the factors too?
Hello?
Yeah, so he is saying you have teachers, people that are teaching, they did not go to teacher training institution, but they say, for example, somebody went to school to study physics, for example, and the person is teaching. Do you think is one of the contributing factors to the problems in the country?
Well, as I said to you, we have two types of people in the education, from the grade school to the university. We have people who have content knowledge. And as much as they have content knowledge, they don't have pedagogical knowledge.
Okay, Professor, break the words down for us. So content knowledge and pedagogical. Please break it.
You are a subject specialist.
Okay.
You graduate from SINOE with a bachelor degree or master's degree in English.
Okay.
But then you know English. But you are not trained to teach English. But you teach English. There's a difference between having the degree with the specialized knowledge and transferring that knowledge to somebody else. Because teaching is an art. It's a science. You have to learn it. How to teach people. It's something that you have to learn. So graduating with a degree in mathematics, in English, in physics, that does not make you a teacher. Because you don't know what to call classroom management. You don't know anything about evaluating the students. You don't know the type of students in the class. You don't know how to develop an objective from which you develop the content to achieve that objective when you are teaching students. So those are two different things. People go to teacher training for them to train you in the area that you prefer. Not because you graduate from university with a bachelor degree or master's degree or PhD, and so therefore you are qualified. It's from university. If you graduate from a bachelor's degree in what I do, or a bachelor degree, and you want to teach, they have what we call training of trainers, where you will be prepared to know how to teach, how to develop a syllabus, how to prepare a lesson plan, how to transfer knowledge to students, to know the type of students in a class, and that's how you teach. There are some of us who can listen to the teacher, and then we can write a whole book. There are some of us who learn by looking at pictures. You see the picture on the board, they draw the picture. All the pictures that you know it right away. There are some of us who learn a lot by working with other students. So all of these styles, you have to understand them as a teacher who is trained.
All right, so, but Professor, what I'm hearing from you, those things that you just delineated, they are lacking. So what prospect do we have, though, for the students in our country to compete with other neighboring countries or even the global community? I mean, what prospect do we have? What hope do we have?
All is not lacking. Our students can still compete. As a result of some of these things I'm talking about, there are a series of seminars to upgrade the skills of those who are not trained teachers, so that you bring them up to speed and what have you. Our students, they compete, just that they have to go extra mile. Yeah.
Yeah, but Professor, this is a country, Professor, that is over 177 years old. And up to now, we are not competing. And you guys say, oh, we are still doing seminar. I mean, when do we get to that point?
The problem that you have in our country is there is no continuity. Take, for example, as a result of the Civil War, which has some of these reasons grounded around government practices, mismanagement, and all of that, we did public sector reform, right? During the reform, we decided to delegate some responsibilities that have constitutional implications. And we created positions for tenure. Instead of us continuing that aspect, we are discarding all of that today and arguing the constitutionality of tenure. Tenure came about as a reform agenda to allow independence in decision making, in management and administration of public enterprises, of public institutions. It's a delegated component of the presidential powers, as enshrined in the Constitution that says the president shall, by consent of the Senate, appoint you and can be dismissed at will. There are certain institutions that are very, very crucial that have delegated responsibility so that they will be independent in their decision making and administrative practices. Because when they are telling you, then the managers of that institution will not be worried about being forced to make decisions because of fear of losing a job and what have you.
So, Professor, so what you are saying in essence is the lack of independence and the lack of continuity of services while creating some of the issues in the country.
First of all, we don't have continuity when it's in place today. Next administration comes, they discard that system, and we'll come back to square one. And the other administration come and bring another thing. And another one come and discard that particular practice. We don't modify as we go along, given the reality. We don't modify. We go and reach to Greenville. As soon as we reach there, and Ayapura come as the superintendent of South County, he bring up back to Glasgow. instead of us leaving Greenville to go to Fire until we can get to Maryland. But we come back to Johnson, and then we take 5 years again in Johnson, and before we start walking to go Greenville. So we are back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's no improvement in our system. Until we learn to continue moving and improving the system, given the realities of time, we will not get anywhere.
Now, Professor.
Go ahead.
Now, Professor, one of the underlying factors in Liberia, especially with our educational system, is the issue of volunteerism. I mean, do you think is playing a major role? I mean, in while our educational system.
Professor, Sugesha is asking a question. I'll relay it to you. Sugesha, go ahead.
Now, I was asking, as it relates to the issue of volunteerism. I mean, many of our teachers from the level of primary school, I mean, to secondary school, even up to tertiary institutions, are volunteers. Do you think it's one of the problems, or one of the problems that is leading our educational system to where it is now?
So, Professor, his question is, in Liberia, you have a lot of volunteer teachers, so he calls that volunteerism. He's asking, do you think it's one of the problems that are leading our educational system in the ditch?
Well, my parents see the reason why they are volunteering. I can't finish with high school, and because I don't have money, I can't come to the university. But I'm right there in Georgia, where I come from. And my parents insisted that school will be in school. I like the school. The teachers that used to teach before that came from there, they are still moving. They are energetic moving, but they are being retired. I sat there with my little education, my brother and sister would not learn anything. So I volunteered to go into the classroom. I volunteered to go into the classroom to close the gap, to reduce illiteracy. So the parents and sisters that are going into the classroom as volunteers, we should thank them very much. What they need to be done by the Ministry of Education is to put them through proper training. Put them through proper training and give them the desired wages that commensurate with the activity that they are undertaking. Because without them, our brothers and sisters will be literally all in the communities. Yes, they cannot go anywhere, but they decide to take that little opportunity to get themselves building. It's the responsibility of the state to meet them halfway. That is, since they have now taken on that opportunity to go into the classroom, mean that they have interest in teacher education. So meet them there, begin to build their capacity, and find something to compensate them for the activity that they are carrying on.
Well, Sugesha, before you come on, ladies and gentlemen, you are following Voices SINOE here with my co-host Sugesha coming from SINOE County. Our special guest today is our own professor from Liberia, Professor Richard Panton, who teaches at the University of Liberia Public Administration and Public Policy. We're having a conversation about the education in Liberia, the key challenges and solutions. So, Sugesha, before you come on, Professor, you have highlighted a lot of challenges within the system. But what I'm not hearing, or maybe you have said it and I missed it, give us some solutions to the predicament that we have right now.
Well, you see, how much money are we spending on education? In most societies, economists will agree with me. We got something called balanced economic development and unbalanced economic development. The government can decide and say, hey, for the 6th year of my administration, I was focused on education. So, what they will tell you, what percentage go to education? You spend money on education, training, on manpower. Because when there's an educated citizenry, solving problems in society become much more lesser than they are. Because when you are educated, you can find solutions to problems in the environment as an educated person. So putting money in education will help a lot. Training the teachers, paying them well, equipping the educational institutions, that is, having all the library. I went, two things happened to us when we went to school. At the University of Liberia, they were teaching one course in business college for, you will laugh at me tonight, they call it Management 305.
Okay.
Everybody that went to the LU in business college, Management 305, that computer. And we saw that computer on, what do you call it? On a paper. They drew the computer on the paper. And you will see the CPU, they drew on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
The mouse, they drew on the paper. The keyboard is drawn on the paper. The monitor is drawn on the paper. None of us saw computer until we graduated the University of Liberia. Yeah, all day. For which I went to take a job and I passed all of the other interviews. But when I got to the computer, I could not assemble the computer that was completely dismantled. I don't know how to assemble it. I see the CPU, the UPS, all the things I saw there on the flash sheet of paper.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw the physically. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that to equip the educational institutions and provide the facilities, train the teachers, and then things will move on. You know, things will move on. There's a challenge with the pay the teacher well, increase or lower the urge for bad practices to take money from students. When we went to school, I don't even know where my teacher lives. We are afraid of the teacher than these days. You know? Because the teachers were getting incentives, and so they were training how to really care to go to look at teachers to find the money for teacher. There was discipline, there was competition, you know? It was because the teachers were trained and were well taken care of minimally, extent that their salary can take their home. But today, the take-home pay cannot take some of our teachers home. And because they cannot be taken home, it is likely that they will do the wrong thing. And then the students are looking for a shortcut. They don't want to go the route that we went through. So there are all our stuff that need to be taken care of in the education system. It requires serious attention. Very serious attention. The classroom is not a place to make money, but you must live a decent life in a way.
Wow. So, Professor, let me kind of pick on some of the things you said a little bit. So, you talk about putting money into education. If you were to put an amount on it or number on it, how much do you think would need to kind of bring that reform that you're talking about?
Well, it would be premature to just get and tell you say 5 million. No, you have to do an effective evaluation of the system to know the cost. How much it will take you to have an effective educational system? Yeah.
So, but Professor, if you did not do the research, how then do you say we need more money in the system?
Well, what I'm saying to you here is that because you have other priorities in a society.
Okay.
It depends on what you want to do, which one of the sector will jumpstart the economy. You can decide to say, I will concentrate on health and education, or I will concentrate on education, agriculture, and roads. It is left with government to prioritize what it is. But if you want to prioritize every area, then you will not be able to do all. So if you want an elected society, then the budget for education would be one of the highest among the among the sectors that you have at the moment. You have 60, for example, in government has 6 years in power. Within 6 years, what would you want to do? How much do they take you to jumpstart the educational system? Will you say in the first 2 years of the administration, this is how much we put in primary education, or what? So that's something that I can just get and tell you now and say, okay, let's put $50 million or $100 or $200 million. If the budget of the Liberian government is $500 million, how much of that $500 million will we want to put there? We put 20% of the $500 million or 30% of the $500 million into education. These are things that people have to sit down and look at competing priorities and make a conscious decision as to how to fund the sector of priority to the administration.
Wow. Yeah, go ahead.
Buhari has come up with this. President Buhari has come up with the arrest agenda. Agriculture, rule of law, education, and something else. Those of us who are policy people will be looking at the budget that will come out this year to see the seriousness of the Buhari administration in terms of how it will address the arrest agenda. So there are A, there are 2 arrows, there are E, there are S, and T. So those variables, what percentage each of them will carry within the 6 years that we are talking about?
Okay.
Are we going to segment them into periods to say, okay, the first 2 years of the Buhari administration, agriculture and education, or agriculture and roads. So let's tackle agriculture and roads in the first 2 years. In the next 2 years, let's tackle rule of law and education as we go around before the end of the 6 years. So the budget will determine the seriousness of the administration in terms of its priorities and how to fund those priorities. So if you talk about educational expenditure, we'll be watching the Buhari administration as to how much money of the budget will go towards education. Now, when you talk about educational spending, what has been happening over the years is that, for example, central office alone will take 60%, or 60% will go towards recurring expenditure. What can 40% do to real issues in the educational system? What can 40% do in real issues in the educational system when 60% goes to recurring expenditure? If you have the time, while you are free, you got go internet. Go on the internet. Google government Liberia budget, say education. Go to the Minister of Education office. What is he doing with about $2 million or $1 million in his office? What does he do with it? Go and see recurring expenditure. Go and see how much is sent to the TTIs. Go and see the budget. Go and see how much money is spent on primary education. Compare that with the amount of money they are spending on central office. So, most priorities can sometimes lead to some of these factors in the system.
So, Professor, a follower or viewer is asking a question here. I mean, I wish I was thinking about too when you talk about, you know, the war and break down the country and all of that. So he's saying, it is true we blame the Civil War for our education system. The war is over. How can we rebuild the system? Some of those educators are still alive. How do we bring them on board?
For me, I will not blame the war on the educational system. I'm not blaming, I said before the war, the system. It is, yes, the war has caused brain drain. Now we have realized, how do we bring back the brain? It's a conscious effort to bring back the brain and revamp the educational system for it to be for it to contribute to nation building. Look at the brother who asking that question. Take for example, we have BWI, those days. We have the LOICs. We have the multilateral high schools. In Greenville, asking in Greenville, the SINOE multilateral high. They started building that school in 1976. They started building that SINOE high school where they all started multilateral high. They started building that school in 1976. When I went to SINOE high school in 1978, that place there was under construction. We used to, when the opponents in SINOE high school from the high school in central Greenville, you would walk and go down there. That school is still the same. It's not a multilateral high school. You need to just build a trade center in a few days. Nobody there. But let me frank. It's a conscious effort. People have to be deliberate to say we pay attention to the educational system. Once we do that, most of our problem will be resolved.
So, Professor, Professor, let me interrupt you a little bit.
Language all year. If they are given skills, they will find solution to their problem.
Okay.
Skills that are relevant to the environment. You don't go to school and learn things that you are not doing in the environment. The companies that are coming will give me noise and say, the company came and they brought their problem and this and that. What have you? How many of our people know? How many Liberians you have? You have an auto mechanic. How many? How many of them have auto mechanic?
So, Professor.
Yeah, technical schools are closed.
Professor.
We used to have MVDC, RMTC. We used to have, you have MVDC in Lanco, RMTC in Buchanan. You have the BW High. You have the multilateral high school. I have a friend who graduated from Central Multilateral High School. He did civil work. Today, the man is a civil engineer. He served one time as Assistant Minister of Defense for civil work. He don't went to university. There are a lot of our people who went to these schools that are mechanic, electrician, and all of that. Those schools have to be revamped to provide skill. LOIC, where they in the LOIC all over the country. You don't see them functioning the way they used to be before.
Mr. Panton.
Talk about, yes.
So you made a point earlier as to how to fix the problems in the country, and I think a viewer is also following with Mr. William Sua is also saying, pay the teachers more, and you also said pay the teachers well. So, but those words are still vague. If you were to give a concrete number, like paying teacher well or more.
Let me give you an example. In the 70s. Towards the middle part of 1980s. People like, for example, in my area where I come from, you have Mr. Robert Doe, you have Eric Kai, you have Wesley Jar, you have Edward Slero, you have Eric Kai, you have David Mengi, you have all these guys. They went to Zozo. When they graduated from Zozo, the government of Liberia under William Harold Togo at the time have a policy. If you agree to go in the interior, you are paid $150 United States. That's how most of our brothers went back home to start teaching. Then you have 3 years to teach. After 3 years of teaching, then you can access the Ministry of Education scholarship to come to the university to get a bachelor's degree. So if you want teachers in Liberian schools, you must provide benefits. You understand? So the teacher that is teaching in Monrovia, the salary of that teacher is different from the guy who is teaching in Chwas or in Vubat, for example. I'm giving you places that I come from that I know well. Anyway.
Okay.
You understand? So you have that. Then the another policy they have was in every private school, if you don't, the government of Liberia at that time does not want the private school to make education exorbitant. So what do? In every private school, government has 2 or 3 teachers that are on its payroll, but they're teaching at school. For that reason, the private school cannot carry the school fee up. I attended St. Joseph Catholic School. My PE teacher, my science teacher, my English teacher were on government payroll. The government of Liberia assigned them to that school. So government did that because it's this government primary responsibility to educate the citizens. So all those that are opening school, they are just helping government. It's not their responsibility to open school. It's a responsibility of the state. Because they are helping the state is their first solution so that education will not be a profiteering venture. Today it is profiteering venture.
So, Professor, let me push back on the issue of benefits, giving the teachers good benefits. If I could retrospect a little bit on the watch of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I think that was the argument that was made. Pay the government officials decent wages, and then they will do the work. They will eschew or they will avoid corruption. But the government officials were well paid on an airline, but that didn't mitigate or stop corruption in the government at the time. Why do you think if you increase salaries or you pay the teachers well, the corruption will go away or they will do their job accordingly?
All right. If you are paid well, your payment being paid well is not all to it. You have deliverables. It's a monitoring system to make sure that you do the work that you are supposed to do for which you are paid. And if that work is not done, there should be a penalty attached.
But that wasn't done on an airline. So when you institute that in education.
If you let me tell you something, my brother. Was Ellen, you think Ellen will fight corruption? Which color you ever support corruption in your life? IMF, World Bank, this and that. Those are corrupt institutions, and you think you will be working with you, and you say you will do the right thing?
Professor, IMF is corrupt?
IMF, World Bank, you don't know them? Or because you are in America, so you are afraid to say it?
No, I don't know about the corruption. I don't want to go in different direction, but when you say they are corrupt.
When we read through it, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
The very early you talk about, she said she took responsibility for the corruption at Noka. She said corruption was a vampire. For the first speech she made, she said corruption is a public enemy number 1.
Right.
So between the first statement and the second statement, how do you say? These are issues that we will look at. Corruption, to fight corruption, you understand, must be an example.
So, but then I would argue instead of saying pay the people more, let emphasize on enforcement of the law. Let hold people accountable more. I think that would deter people. Yeah.
Information. I am saying you pay the people for the services they run.
Okay.
And paying them does not stop corruption. No. It undermines corruption. But the mechanism in place to fight corruption must be rigid.
Okay.
Must be rigid. the mechanism put in place to fight indecency must be rigid. That when you violate the law, you are punished for violating the law. And not because you have your friend somewhere or you have the AT or the other person, this and that. We cannot continue with the patronage politics or patronage practices.
You also spoke of,
in order to do the right thing.
Professor, you also spoke of the agenda of the current president, the arrest agenda. And I don't know about you, but for me, I am incredulous. I am doubtful as to whether that agenda will be implemented based on prior evidence, because the mayor right now, he was on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf as vice president, and their policy at the time was PRS, Poverty Reduction Program. That's why they instituted. Nothing happened. George Weah came and introduced the PAPD. Nothing happened. And Joseph Boakai now is bringing arrest. I just think those things are political slogans. What say you?
Well, let me tell you something. When you talk about Boakai worked with Ellen, and let me show you a vivid example. President Toro worked as Vice President under William V. Stockman for 19 years.
Okay.
But his administrative practices are different from Stockman.
Okay.
So I will not be foolhardy to say Boakai is not capable of implementing his agenda. All that I will say is, I wait to see Boakai's budget. I wait to see Boakai's budget that is being worked on. When it is submitted to the legislature, I want to see how that budget will address the implementation of that arrest agenda. Then I can make informed statement about his ability or inability to deliver.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, our special guest is Professor Richard Panton. He teaches at the University of Liberia. He's just giving us some knowledge on the education system in Liberia. And from our perspective, based on what I'm hearing, the prospect in our country is bleak. We are not getting there anytime soon, based on what the professor is saying. Maybe you are hearing something different, but I'm not hearing something optimistic. Even though the professor was in Liberia when we had the free education policy under George Weah, and yet he's saying things are not going as it should be. All right, so Professor, I think you have been on for a while, and yeah.
There is no free education policy in Liberia yet. So we should not fool you that you got free education policy. No. Any study should not fool you that you have free and compulsory education policy. It's a policy on the books, but in actuality, it's not a policy.
Explain.
It's not a policy in actuality. So please, let us not talk about that.
Professor, explain that. Explain that.
All right. Take, for example, President Sirleaf came up and said free and compulsory primary education, right?
Uh-huh.
The school don't have chalk. They don't have dusters. Teacher wrote books. Then they resort to fees. They started charging money that parents cannot afford. So, as a result of that, you have quantity, but not quality. You have quantity, not quality. Bulk of these people went to school. They carry their own chairs. If you don't buy a chair, you can't have seat. And therefore, you end up sitting down on the ground. The teacher don't have supplies. And therefore, they introduce fees. $1,000 for basic education. $2,000. They start carrying up from $1,000 to $2,500 to $3,000 to $5,000. So the numbers start dropping. And what you call free education.
Okay.
The classroom size from a conventional practice of education, a classroom should have a minimum of 25 to maximum of 50 students. Where in the world you have 70 students, 100 students in one classroom in a university,
Wow.
or even in a junior high school, they say that because they say it's free, so people can, they don't space. They don't have to teach. Those of you in the classroom know that politics. Okay? The academic rules say between 25. That is, you got 26 students, you can have 30 students, you have 35, you can have 40 students, you can have 45, you can have 50. But in university Liberia, anybody that teaches in university, especially in the undergraduate program, so that in one class, you got about 60, 70, 100 students, people standing on no chairs. What? Yes.
But Professor, how do you guys absorb? How do you guys absorb students if you know you are above capacity, though?
But what will you do? The people that teach in the undergraduate program, they are under stress. What will you do? The government said that free education, so the student gain, but the government doesn't have space.
But you guys are the one that accepting students, right? So you have to have your benchmark, the number of students that you want. So you can't just absorb the students and you.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
You accept it. You accept it as the administration and the government of Liberia that say that they're school.
Okay.
So some of us, we have a benchmark. We have a benchmark. We don't teach classes that are above that number. We argue we don't have. Thank God I'm teaching in the grad school, so therefore I don't encounter that kind of problem.
Okay.
When I was teaching in the undergraduate program, it was difficult for me. I would insist that I'm not going to teach above 50. So most of the students will run away from my class because they know that I will keep to the rule. After 50, you stay in that class the next semester, I will not send grade for you. I give you F. I just draw the line after 50, so people get F. For that reason, they don't come. So us, because we stood our ground, that we will not cross that line, so students are forced to go to other places that they, but it's not the right thing to do. See? The job we had passing around kind of free education. Over free education, how much money you put in the budget? The University of Liberia got $90 million as its budget. And you have over 40,000 students. And you say free education when no chair?
Yeah, but Professor, let be fair. I mean, Liberia man will say, let's talk so and talk so, though. Did the children pay YFEs? Are they paying tuition? Yes, sir.
The first thing is that the WIA policy on free education was not properly analyzed before it was made. It's a knee-jerk political policy. There are a lot of things associated with free education. When Mr. Weir went on the university campus to make that statement, the university at that time had 20,000 students on its book. 12,000 students were actually registered. 8,000 students could not find the means to register to pay the fee. And there was this agitation. Not analyzing that appropriately, he went to the university campus and declared education free. Mind you, there were some who were already behind the gate that anticipated to enter. Besides those who are legitimate but not have fees. So those of us who are already not there and don't have fees, we made our way there. No chairs, no classroom. One day I will take photo when the school open. In a few days when school open, I will take photos and send it to your WhatsApp so you will see a university classroom. You understand? So you see a university classroom. People politicize education, then make a serious policy decision about how to treat education in Liberia, which is unfair.
So, Professor, just so to understand, because when we use the word government, right? I mean, it's ambiguous. So when you say the government is not doing what she's supposed to do, are you speaking of the executive, the judiciary, or the legislature? Which branch of government are you?
Liberian government. I say the Liberian government.
Okay. So
the executive that run the government. But the legislature is supposed to be the one to apportion the money for the executive implements.
Yeah, but they have to hold the executive accountable as well for what they are doing or what they are not doing.
When they depending on the executive to get their money to survive. That's also poor people who are not committed to their work. They go in the legislature, you think they are there for the citizen.
So, Professor, have you thought of representing the people someday? I mean, to speak and articulate the issues?
Not yet. I mean, my duty was to fight for justice and democracy, and to give the people the opportunity to choose. For those of us who are so realistic and bent down to doing the right thing, the Liberian men don't want to watch up, and then when time comes, they start crying. So I'd rather sit in my corner and do what I can do for my children to survive. So people are not ready yet for themselves.
Okay, so Professor, here's the issue. You are on the phone, right? And people want to contribute, but then when I click over, you go off. So is there a way that you can listen? And I'll make some people will call in so you can listen. Then I'll call you back so you can answer their questions.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let me just call you right back then. All right. Let's see. Let me call this gentleman.
Hello?
Hey, Austin.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to ask the professor a question. The floor is introduce yourself, where you calling from. That would be excellent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm very loud and clear.
First and foremost, I want to appreciate the professor for all that he's doing to impart knowledge to my fellow Liberians. However, I feel personally listening to the professor that they are not doing justice to the same very students that he's talking about, that the class are oversized. For instance, what is the professor doing along with his colleagues after the Georgia-led government have come in to say free education and why excess number of students in class?
Okay. He is listening. So that's one. You got another question?
My second question is, if the government come up with a policy for an institution, what is the role of the institution itself to the government? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That's Mr. Austin Freeman. Let me call the professor back, see what he can address two questions. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, did you hear him?
I was listening, but I didn't hear him really.
All right, so his questions were two. As a matter of fact, you were inducted. He said you guys did not do or are not doing justice to the students. Given that,
Why?
Because he said when the government job is to put in the policy and your job is to enforce it at the university, and you guys were not doing that.
It's unfortunate that he will go that route. We constrain ourselves to help the students. We insist that some of us who don't go beyond the benchmark, and we got a bad name that we don't want them to know book. When the government and the university administration are supposed to adhere to the policy that says 25 to 50 students in one class. You can have 60 students, you can have 70, you can have 100 students in a class. But they are saying, look, we have to improvise. And we are talking about the health. We are talking about the flow of disseminating information to the student. So there are others who will compromise and say, well, we don't have to do it for them. We have to help. There are others who will say, no, for quality, we're not talking about quality. So he cannot come up to say that. It's unfortunate.
And his second question was, I think it's in line with the first one. What role do you guys play as a professor to implement the policy of the government?
The first thing, professor, is not there to implement policy of government. It's the administration of the university that implement policy of government.
Okay.
Our job is to go in the classroom and then the regulations are followed. The government got free education policy. So the university administration is supposed to be the one to worry about how many students will be, how the policy will work.
So in other words, Professor, are you saying the administration, the administration, they are not implementing the policy?
Administration is implementing the policy, but the policy they are implementing quality policy.
So give me an example when you say they are implementing quantity and not quality.
As a teacher, the rule is for you to really engage the students, for there to be a smooth transfer of knowledge. The size of the class must be manageable. Should be between 25 to 50. Okay.
And that's the policy of the University of Liberia?
That's a policy on the books of the university. But in actual sense, it's not a policy. Because you have more than that number of people in the class. The problem is the university does not have the money to create more classes. The money the university gets does not go, about 60% of that money is not going to what is it? To maintain the class. Recurring expenditure is high.
So, Professor, here's the question, though. Professor, here's the question before you continue with your thought. If the policy of the university is 25 to 50 students and you accommodate more than that number, aren't you contravening the policy of the institution?
The university administration will tell you, say, prevailing reality dictates. The one university administration will tell you when you try to insist. They say the prevailing reality dictates. The reason they're using that excuse is that if, say, for example, English 101, students that want to do English 101, they are about 500. And you are saying that 50 students will be to a class. So how many sessions will you create on a 500? That those sessions have to be paid for. The university say they don't have the money to create that number of sessions. So therefore the students will find their way. So you who will be flexible, you will have more of those students coming to you. The guy who will stick to the rule will stick to the rule. Then you are the guy who is a non-conformist. You are the guy who is hard to deal with.
So you don't want to be the non-conformist, so you conform.
Oh yeah.
but then what I mean, do you guys have some principles that you teach, that you live by? Because if you conform because other people,
those of us who don't conform are the non-conformists. I really want to elaborate, man, okay, they may hard to deal with, they may can't understand people's problem. So when they see your name on the board, they say, I'm going to rock out.
Okay. So they rather go to the conformist class.
I'm not going to rock out. I'm going to all of my class. Even if I don't go there, sir, my man will bring the notes. If I stand to the window, I will just listen. Or sometimes I go to the board with my cell phone and take the picture, then I go. Now, other man, you don't do it to the class. The man will come and be dictating.
Wow.
They'll come and be talking and say, you yourself will write your note. They say you must put everything on the board so they will copy. And when they copy, then they ask you to spell the word. I'm not there for that.
So Professor, take for example, your class. How many students in your class at the graduate level?
Sometimes we have 15 students. The maximum I usually have will be 25 in the graduate level.
What is the passing rate of your classes?
The university say to pass, you must get 70. So I stick to my 70 rule.
So the students, I'm talking about the students. What is the failure rate and the passing rate?
The passing rate, you see, to pass, there are a lot of things that go into pass into the 70. You got assignment, which has the point, that participation. We do some of us argue against participation because they look a bit biased. No? So I can be in a class and I don't talk. I'm contributing to better decorum. There's a guy who talks nonsense, but he's talking. So you find out that it depends on how the student, contribute to their own development. I go.
Okay, so I think the gentleman that called, maybe I did not present his question correctly, so he resubmitted the question. Let me read it verbatim, word for word. He said policy to implement from the government. What is the role that the university faculty play to implement those policies when they know themselves that policies are not in the interest of the Liberian students? I think something like that you're trying to say.
The first thing is the university administration will come and say, this is our policy. You don't like it, you can go.
Wow.
So there are some of that's the reason why some of us decided not to teach in the undergraduate program. Some people left the university because of that. They're not prepared to teach that kind of people. That crowd. So they will tell you, if you don't want it, what we have, you don't want it, then you will go. So they themselves are not prepared. Because you see, it's costly. They feel that it's costly for them to open different sessions with the number of students that are enrolling.
Okay.
You see, the number of students that are enrolling. So in first semester, you have over 1,000 students going to do 100 level courses. How many sessions are you going to open for the 100 level courses? So if you have English 101 and you have a 1,000 students and you're supposed to have 50 maximum, how many sessions are you going to open? 50 students to a class. Maximum, 50 students to a class. How are you going to do it? And if the teacher is supposed to teach a minimum of 3 classes, and you give me additional class as an overload, do you have money to pay? As I speak to you now, there's a problem in the university. There are people who call the part-time teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They just getting paid since almost 8 months ago. They said last year, July, they started teaching. They just getting paid. You understand? There's a lot of problems. So if you have have the rule says 25 to 50. And you have more than that number, and they require that you have to create different class. Do you have money to pay that teacher? Because you don't have that money to pay that teacher, then you say, but man, add it in on me.
What are the things they are adding up?
My man, I don't want all my man will say, okay, my man, we make a what we call it adjustment. Then they say that my man will make a policy adjustment.
No, but when you say add the thing, you're talking about the student or the little charge, the side chopping.
Yeah, they say you add the thing mean that instead of 50, it will be 70 or 75.
Liberia is an interesting country. Add the thing on that. I understand, Professor. I follow you. The corner.
Increase the number of students and let's go ahead. So you in the car really yourself, sweating the air. They don't even, so at some point you may not even know the difference between the teacher and the student. They don't wear uniform.
Wow. I mean, we're laughing about it, but it's a serious matter, though, Professor.
Of course. To have the maximum, to have the conventional class size means that you have the money to pay for those classes. And the university will not want to do that. So they prefer flexibility to increase the number. So you who is rigid to say that number, then no students come to your class. Then it made another law to say if you have less than 25 students, then that class does not exist.
Oh wow!
Force you to accept the number of students.
So since you guys made a transition from 25 to 50, and you are going above 50, what is the maximum now for each class, or you don't have a maximum?
What kind of maximum are you talking about again? They say you must add a T or they say maximum.
So when you add it, or at what point do you stop? Do you keep adding people?
My man, they say you must add it. Oh, where you stop that?
All right, Professor, you've been on for a while. But I just want to transition a little bit to something else before I let you go. I always learn a lot from you when I have a conversation with you. But I think I talked about it the other day. I don't know whether you're also part of that movement. There was this group called, I think they call themselves campaigners for the recognition of the Sapo tribe or something like that, because the Sapos were excluded from the 1,000 banknote that was printed. So I don't know, what is your knowledge on that, and what progress is being made in that direction?
Well, I support the cause. The Sapo people were born African Liberians that migrated to this soil between the 14th and the 15th centuries, before the arrival of the settlers. They've been here, and they made a enormous contribution towards the foundation of the Liberian state. They meet all of the requirements of a tribe. They have, for example, when I say requirement, they have a geographic location. They have artifacts. They have symbols. They have linguistic identifications. So what are you saying? They have the equivalent or more than others. So why will you leave them out? Why will we leave them out? Now, other generation before this generation have been a bit flexible to tolerate the disrespect meted against the Sapo tribe. But apparently this generation is not taking it lightly. So they decided to elevate. Money were printed, 1,000 banknotes to be specific, and they have the 16 tribes of Liberia. Before the printing of this money, the population census. And one of the problems that we are having in our country, people who are policy makers don't read national documents that are supposed to inform policy. Population census is one key determinant of development variables in any society. The census report came out, and then all of the time, one tribe came up with a population variable that changes the dimension. And historian and statisticians picked that up and added it to the tribal statistics, making Sapo the 17th tribe of the Republic. On the basis of that, the Ministry of Education adjusted the civic curriculum. As I speak to you, people who teach civics in the schools, the book they usually has Sapo as the 17th tribe of the Republic. At the millennium celebration, the people of the country were informed that the history of Liberia has changed now. But I want to know.
I'm following you.
So, when the money was printed, the absence of the Sapo tribe from the money. So they decided to raise issue. And they wrote the central bank, informing the central bank of this inadvertent mistake made. But the central bank ignored that. They're not responsible for those communications. So they didn't take it lightly. They felt ignored and felt disrespected. They decided to seek legal redress. So they approached the Human Rights Office, and then the Human Rights Office wrote the central bank. Central bank ignored that. So they decided to take on to the court. They went to the court. Some of the argument against the Sapo tribe is that, hey, this tribe does not exist. It is not a tribe. It is in Grandjide. It is in SINOE, so it lost its existence. It is extinct. So the Sapo tribe argues, but what do you mean by that? First of all, we are a tribe. Our population is higher than Ding and Bele put together. 2, you cannot give us any statute that establishes a tribe in this country. 3, so if you say that we are in Grandjide and in SINOE, then what about the Brimo that are in Maryland? They're in River G, they are in SINOE, and they are in Monrovia, Colorado. What's about the crew? So the argument went on, and then when the argument went as far as to the civil law court. At the civil law court, the judge came on and said the boss is jurisdiction. So he ruled and dropped the case. So they decided to take the case to the Supreme Court. So the case is now before the Supreme Court. And they have a genuine case. They have a genuine case. Nobody can deny that. And the Sapo tribe is not a tribe. Nobody in this country can deny that.
But Professor, what progress? What is the outcome of the case now? I mean, how far have they gone?
The case is before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will open in March.
Okay.
So we expect the case to be on the to be on the docket of the court. It's March 10th.
Okay.
Everybody is waiting for the March 10th.
All right, Professor, I want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. My last question on education, you brought in the point of linguistics. And do you think we have to revisit? Because I think if you look at the Chinese, for example, when they're teaching their children, they speak Mandarin, they speak their language, Chinese, if you like. If you look at the Japanese, they speak their language. The German, they speak their language when they're teaching it. But in Liberia, we speak English. Have you guys thought about changing the language so that the children will properly understand the content? Perhaps the English is not helping. Hello.
It's unfortunate. In the next 20 years, your own Sapo dialect may not exist.
Why?
Because everybody's speaking English.
But Professor, you don't think the staff from education, you guys in education are the ones that are supposed to teach your languages for the next generation.
I'm not Minister of Education.
Oh, wow.
I'm not linguistic, I'm not Minister of Education to say, look, that's the reason why I'm saying your educational system, our educational system does not reflect the issue in the environment. If you went to Ghana, right here next to Sierra Leone, Guinea, Ivory Coast, all the countries in Africa, people speak their language, their children all. But you Liberians, you feel wearing American clothes than even have your own clothes.
Professor,
those of us who like to wear African shirt, they put the other man like African shirt too much. He like African shirt too much. This and that. Liberian man is done like that.
Everyone.
We Liberian have what we call lost identity. We're not black, we're not white. So we are who? We're in the middle there.
So, Professor, are you indicting yourself? You are wearing kosu on the paper, on the picture that is up.
You saw me this evening. Why did you see me on?
No, I'm talking about a picture that is up right now.
Hey, we myself were talking just now when you saw me. Wow, man, who always wear my African shirt? Man, who is dignified in African clothes? Yes, I wear the European clothes for what? Because of globalization. So I do that. That's all. But it is not my official clothes.
Okay. All right, Professor, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. If you have parting comments for us, you can go ahead. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Well, I want to thank you very much. All is not lost. The cautious ones, the most committed and dedicated ones have to fight to make the change. It is difficult, but we have to continue in the battle to fight. It takes the few to make a change. It is never late. Maybe my generation may not, but we have started and we'll continue. And those who follow us may see the reason down the road to make the relevant changes. So I want us not to get tired, not to be discouraged. These are things that can be changed based on commitment and dedication. And so I want to thank you for the opportunity to call me for us to discuss. It's unfortunate that internet in Nigeria is a gold mine. So we have it difficult. Next time we'll make a better arrangement, and I will maybe if I were at the central at my office in central town, you would not have encountered this problem. So next time we will make adjustments so that we have a better exchange, so that I will listen to those people who want to send their questions, so that I will not give you too much headache, to be transparent to me. Thank you very much again, and we look forward to always be in touch.
Okay, all right, Professor, have a fantastic night. Thank you so much. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that's my special guest from Liberia, Professor Richard Panton there for us, give us some knowledge, share some of the challenges facing our educational sector in Liberia, and he proffered some solutions to those problems or challenges that our institutions are facing in the country. I mean, it is all of us a responsibility, but I think the responsibility is more so on the government. We put in a government because we all cannot be in power at the same time. So we put people in power to do certain things for us. And unfortunately, things are not being done the way we expect the leaders to lead us, to lead our people. I mean, in the global community right now, people are doing different things. I mean, they're making different iPhones, and I mean, now machines, they call them drones, they're delivering packages to people's houses right now. And here we are in Liberia. We, I don't know what is the progress we are making. Oftentimes, the guys that the most guys that are committed to the cause of education in Liberia, I mean, the best you get from them is to write and to speak big words, you know. But when it comes to innovation, creativity, you know, to generate things, you know, I think that what the sort of education that we need right now, to create things, to add value to things that are in our country, you know, bring some ideas. And I mean, we have this device right now. I'm talking what you call it, StreamYard. You know, somebody idea. The internet is somebody idea. So these things, they come about from education. Some guys, they started education, the advanced education, and along the way, you know, I got the basic now, and so I can create, but it's based on the quality of the education, you know. So matter, Bill Gates, for example, you say, you know, I don't have the bottom, I say again. Since I came up with Microsoft, I mean, I'm good. You know, you have not Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg, the guy that created Facebook. He's a billionaire, so he has no cost to further go to school. But again, the guys that have the basic, you know, and the education, the foundation is good. And so when they get that knowledge, you say, you know what, I'll just do my own thing. You know, can we do the same thing in Liberia? You know, the professor named, highlighted a lot of the problems in the country, especially from the administration up to the leaders, the government officials that are running the country, you know. And so, but yes, we need a difference. And my thing is, we have been talking about system. I hear the word reform a lot. And I think reform is in itself is a problem, because the word reform are two words. That two words combined, re and then form. So form, something is in certain form, and so you want to work on that form for the form to different, so you reform it. But I think if you keep reforming something over and over, and that thing is not working, then it is time to replace that thing. It can't be reforming something over and over. And so, and that's right now, we have to sit down as leaders, as citizens, and try to see what we can invent, a new system that works for us, a new system of education that works for all, that is unique to Liberia, that is unique to the continent of Africa. From the context of Liberia, from the way I look at things, we do a lot of copy and paste. America is doing it, other countries are doing it, and therefore we should do the same thing. I mean, This copy and paste method does not work. The fact that it works for America, or it works for other countries, it doesn't mean that it will fit your situation. And so we have to come up, we have the same brains that the other people they have. And so we have to sit down and think for ourselves and stop the plagiarism, and stop, plagiarizing and copying other people's things. It's not working. We say 176 years or 77 years, and we are still doing the same thing over and over. Sometimes we blame the world for the way the country is, but Liberia is not the only country in the world that fought war. You have Rwanda, they had this macabre war, kill each other, but Rwanda is one of the best countries in Africa. So sometimes we tend to blame other factors, but the major things or the major issue that we are confronting in our country is the leadership. The leaders are terrible. It takes one good leader to transform that country. Just the same way you have just one Thomas Sankara. The man was changing Mali. And then unfortunately the French, they want to use his body, Blaise Compaoré, and they got rid of him. The same thing, Kwame Nkrumah and those guys, they undermine them. So it takes one good leader, and you see, while Rwanda is doing well, Paul Kagame, he has a vision for the country. He has a plan. He has an agenda for the country. And so he implemented his agenda, and Rwanda is doing well. So the problem of Liberia, the problem of Africa, as other writers have said, is the problem of leadership. We got terrible leaders. The laws are not followed. People do their own thing. When somebody breaks the law, you are not held accountable. So then what do you have the laws? What do you set up all these institutions? That's where the problem is. But guys, we want to say thank you for joining us today. Our new schedule, we told you as we posted, is now fixed. We will be here every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So that would be 1 p.m. Central. And I see it's 12 Pacific and then 7 p.m. GMT, which is Liberia time, right? So join us here every Wednesday. Every Thursday, sorry. And don't hesitate. We have our YouTube channel. Voice of Sino is on YouTube. Please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and hit that notification button. We are there. You can watch the show on your live big screen TV if you have one, especially when you are by home, you might not. Unless you are doing well economically, you have access to television, but you can go and follow our YouTube channel, subscribe. I want more subscribers, so that we can, once we have more subscribers, guess what? The YouTube will start to pay us. And what that means is we will hire more of our people. We will do more things by home. I brought the young man on board, Sagacious, to be part of the team, and that's how we all contribute to the society. What that means is bringing Sagacious on board. That means we will have to allocate something at least to kind of compensate him for his time and stuff like that. And that's how we play. So all you have to do, guys, when we get here, share the show. Number one. Number two, go to our YouTube page and just hit that subscribe button. It's not difficult. It's not difficult to share. And that's the problem I have with some of the viewers. They don't share this show. I don't know whether it's difficult to do so or they don't know how to do it. We have to do a tutorial on sharing videos. At the bottom there, it tells you share. That's all you need to do when you get on the show. That's all we want from you. You have information for us to disseminate. You inbox us. You call us. We will help you out with that. And that's what the platform is here for. We got one guy now from SINOE. We're also looking for somebody from Moravia to kind of be your team on the show, and we'll have a wonderful show. We're going to recruit another person from the US too. If you are interested in being on the show, being a contributor or a panelist on the show, you can inbox me and let's discuss SINOE, let's discuss Liberia, let's discuss the word. All right, we got a lot of issues. Next week, we're going to be bringing another guest on just listening to me. Okay. The young man I brought will be debating the issues. The other people that will join us will be debating the issues. You will get my side, you will get their side, and you decide which side you want to be on. You know, that's how it goes. But I want to say thank you so much for your participation, your comments, and all of that. We really appreciate you, those that call in. We want to say thank you for calling in. Yes, we want to get an official number as well for the show that we'll be using for people to call. You know, all right. We want to say thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out.